So we've left Quebec and we've headed into New Brunswick. We moved pretty fast through New Brunswick. We hit a number of towns. We went to Edmundston, Grand Falls, Fredericton, which is the capital of New Brunswick, Moncton, spent some time in St. John, and then drove along the Big Salmon River Road, which follows the Bay of Fundy, which was a really beautiful drive. The driving itself was only 450 miles, but we took our time. And it was at least 2 weeks, possibly even 3 by the time we left New Brunswick. We took some time off the road to go visit Fort Ingle. It was a British fort built in 1839. No, from the West Coast, we don't really know this stuff, but for a long time there was a dispute about where the border of Maine and New Brunswick was. And the fort was built to defend against American militia units during the Pork and Beans War. Seriously, the Pork and Beans War. It's actually a reconstruction of the original fort, but it's done really well and it's done precisely to the original plans, which were well documented at the time. In addition to actually being able to go into all of the buildings and understand what that building was for, who was in that building, there was also some local reenactors. While we were there, they were drilling and they were learning. I think they were some new guys that had to learn the rules of being in a regiment of the British Army. It was fun to watch.
You can have eyes on Private Munio all the time if you need so that you can see what he's doing.
We stopped in Grand Falls for the night, and on the way out, we stopped and saw the Grand Falls. A lot of water. I was driving down the highway and I saw this sign that said longest covered bridge in the world. I'm like, oh, got to make that stop. So we went over to Heartland, which has the claim of having the longest covered bridge in the world. And it's pretty big, and it was something to see. But what we discovered while we were there was our favorite brand of potato chips in Canada. Those are called covered bridge potato chips. Eventually, we arrived in the town of Moncton. We actually are in Moncton twice, but we'll talk about that in a later video. We stayed at one of the most interesting places we've ever stayed at. It's called Castle Manor. It's an Airbnb, full of Airbnbs. I think the owner lives in one of the apartments, but it's truly one of those very rich people once built themselves a castle and then it fell into disrepair and someone bought it and cleaned it up. It was one of the nicest places we've stayed in. Why were we in Moncton? We decided to go watch the tidal bore. The tidal bore is a very interesting phenomena where, as the Bay of Fundy tide rises, it pushes the water back up the river, and it looks like basically the river is flowing backwards. Something to see. So today we are just a little east of Moncton, across the river. This river is really interesting because when high tide comes in from Fundy Bay, it actually just is like a wave that comes through. And we were here to watch that, but typical for us, whenever we want to do something, the weather disagrees. So here you can see the river. And we would be expecting to see this big wave come through in about 35-40 minutes, but it decided to rain on us instead. But we're going to hang out here in this pergola and see, maybe we can just wait out the rain and still watch the tide come in. We almost missed it. It's not very big, but the river's going in one direction, the tide's going in the other.
That's a really big tide. But not the biggest.
I know.
Plymouth Rock kind of situation.
You only understand that if you've been to Plymouth Rock.
What?
And we finally arrive in St. John. Our original Airbnb canceled on us. I think they sold the property or something between when we booked and when we actually got there. But we ended up booking another place, a little more expensive than we wanted, but it had an amazing balcony that overlooked the harbor, and you can watch the cruise ships come in and the container ships come in and get loaded. And we were going to be there for Canada Day, and they were going to have this big fireworks extravaganza right there, right in front of us. But unfortunately, on Canada Day, all of that was canceled because of the weather. Dang, that darn weather. Every time, the weather. St. John also has a tidal bore. And here you can see that the tide is going in. Notice how high the water is on the rocks across the way. Now here it is, tide's going out, so the river's flowing in the right direction. And notice how far the tide has dropped. We never really got to see it at its apex, but it was better than what we saw in Moncton. This whole process creates these whirlpools that are pretty aggressive.
See how it's moving, it's trying to move out
It's fun to watch.
above the whirlpool.
As we headed out of St. John and New Brunswick in general on our way to Nova Scotia, we stopped at the Hidden Sea Caves. These caves are hidden because when the tide rises, yes, it goes that high, those caves are underwater. And you can see by the rocks. I mean, the tide is huge. But hey, we got to stand on Bikini Bottom. Now, tides are no joke in the Bay of Fundy. These ships are not stranded. They're on stilts, waiting for the tide to rise. This is an everyday occurrence. So we headed on down the road and took a scenic drive called Big Salmon River Road. And it's supposed to be beautiful. But as you can see, you can't see the beauty. Again, it's just bad weather. We took the whole drive. It was a big winding road that went all the way through the Bay of Fundy. It was pretty if you looked inland, but if you looked out towards the bay, there was nothing to see. We did take a hike out to the Walton Glen Gorge, which is a bit of a hike. And when you get there, it's supposed to be like a Grand Canyon-ish kind of place. It's not. Here's just some more footage of the drive along the Salmon River. As we head out of New Brunswick on our way to Nova Scotia, there's one thing I can say about New Brunswick. They have the nicest roads in all of Canada, by far, except for the capital city of Fredericton. Fredericton's got really bad roads. I don't know what's up with that. So this is a wrap for New Brunswick. And next we head into Nova Scotia.